Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We left off at a pretty pivotal moment, as you can tell by the Judge Jigoko's angry, kind of scary expression. In fact, we just improved that the only person that Gregson was killed in his cabin. So, looking kind of sussy as far as Chigoko is concerned. So, I don't think it's gonna be like right here and there, but we're definitely making a case at least. So let's see where this goes. Ugh. Well, okay, gotcha. Ooh, I take breaks between recordings. I always gotta find the voice again. Or at least my attempt at a voice. Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Hey, I'm not a murderer. Objection! I'm not the murderer here. In fact, I was found innocent of murder, thanks to you, pal. Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. Okay, man, you don't have to be such a fucking smartass about it. Just tell me what's on your mind, man. Yeesh. What? And I believe Judge Goko feels the same way. Oh. Well, now, he seems in good spirit. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Okay, well, that's just not very nice. Sorry? If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty, just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. Okay, damn, dude. That's just mean, and frankly a little corrupt. Gotta say. I'm not sure this is how a judge should be conducting themselves. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Oh, have I? Have I stumbled into a fucking pitfall, pal? Or, or are you the one who has stepped into the pitfall of your own deceit? Jerk. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well, then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st of October. Of course. As a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. It's a good thing my name's not Apollo, or else I'd call you out on that. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an ipon-sio throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. Oh yeah, we're getting to that now, are we? Ippon Seo. I probably am not pronouncing that correctly. A common jujutsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Arg! Okay, yeah, I mean, that was kind of obvious. Or at least with what they're claiming currently. I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely a tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. I also forgot that Jigoku did admit to, freely admit to organizing the assassin exchange program, which is still pretty wild. But if this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in this case. Well, counsel? I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination. Hey, it's my right, goddammit, and I'm gonna fucking exercise it, one way or the other. Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. Yeah, what he said. Ugh. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen. Not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, boy am I gonna. The events in the cabin. So, as usual, it's just, press everything and go from there. I mean, there's one part that I want to, get to eventually. I feel like it's going to be the, the pivotal moment, but I want to get a feel for everything first.
Hold it!
Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had to set your killer pass, you mean? Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was a truth, of course. He wouldn't have had his identification with him, though, because that was with, Daily Vigil. He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. The man accompanying him would have had 2 swords slung around his waist. You mean me? Who else, man? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly. All I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back at my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. Ah, that's right. That's right. None whatsoever. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes. Though, at the time, I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose. That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. I remember before, when he was being more gregarious, I kind of put more boom into his voice. But now that he's more serious, I'm kind of going back to the more thoughtful kind of, putting occasional pauses here and there to kind of show his, that he's thinking about what he's trying to say. Or at least that's what I'm trying to do to distinguish it from the other voice. Because otherwise it's not that different from Strongheart's voice. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for help with the crewman at the door. So I dealt with the man myself.
Hold it!
So you gave him a big old throw. Huh. Even though the man had a gun? That was a very brave move, wasn't it? See, that's what I mean about it being, like, gregarious and happy. Or at least jolly, but... But Ippon Sai is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Yes. Of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Ippon Seo throw. You can't just fucking expect to solve all your problems just by throwing dudes around.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Trouble to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long. Bullet to the chest soon saw to that. The point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujutsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. What are you talking about? That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. Yeah, I don't suppose we have evidence. Yeah, I guess, Herlock didn't have a camera on hand to take a picture of the bullet hole, so we don't have that as, evidence. But we saw it with our own eyes. No matter what old Chigoku has to say.
Hold it!
This is the interesting part of my, interesting statement that I want to especially hear more about. But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling. What? What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Okay, don't you be a smartass too, man. You guys are fucking big jerks. Well, then, obviously, the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off in your ship carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? Well, I mean, yes, that's true, but all passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would have imagined the body would have been disposed of at sea. Yeah, I suppose you could just throw it off, throw it into the ocean. That's a good way of getting rid of a body. There would have been no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. Ugh. Let's kill that idea then. But perhaps not. Mr. Zato, we've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea. Oh yeah, that does check out. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words that you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony. With your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objections. State your amended testimony now. Oh, you're gonna amend it? What now, bitch? What are you gonna say now, motherfucker? There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain.
Hold it!
Are you sure about that? There's an idea. Think about it, Stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry. And we met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel. So you did. Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? Okay, again, I don't appreciate you being so fucking smart, Alec. But no, you didn't have a corpse over your shoulder at the time. You fucking asshole. What? No. So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Well, there was that one case with the instantaneous kinesis, but that turned out to not be true. Oh yeah, even Renosuke remembers it. Funny you should say that. Professor's harebrained invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say. So that's the story. Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, we don't say, Mr. Naruhodo must have been murdered there. Do we? I mean, yeah, I guess. But, I mean, is that a veiled threat about what might happen to me if I break another one? And the fact is that Inspector Gregson's body was found in that little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Shigoku's cabin, the body would have to have been moved somehow, obviously. Transporting a dead body over a country border, that would be impossible for the majority of people. So it must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit then. That could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, like I said, I don't think these first 4 statements are really things that we can, like, disprove. Like, we don't have any evidence he didn't throw Inspector Gregson around. But there is this last statement that feels like it's almost tailor-made for us to try and present something. So let's think about it. No possible way that he could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. Let's, man, yeah, he really gives some mean looks. But, yeah, let's see. So we have the telegram, the machine part that we already, used, the drill itinerary, the sword, Kazuma's sword, which we still don't figure out. I don't remember if we learned, or I might have forgotten. It's been a little bit. Like, about when he used the sword, and, like, why he cut it into, Gregson's trunk like he did. Considering apparently he wasn't even involved with the assassination business. Let's see. So we have our armband, we have the Red-Headed League article. Okay, again, this stuff I don't think is going to be very useful to the current situation. Red hairpiece. Gregson's photo with Gregson. This, God, I forget what this was. It was like a key, right? It was like secretly a key or some shit. The autopsy report. This might be interesting, since we do have reason to believe, his measures might have been taken to, to hide his time of death. We still haven't figured out, like, what this wig was for. Like, why specifically it was, and why it was found on Gregson's person. Like that's still a mystery. We have Gregson's ID card, the photo. The trunk real quick. Yeah, I don't think this is a big enough trunk to hide a body. It seems like it's more so for like a few, personal possessions and the like. The man, you probably hit someone pretty hard across the head with it. This photo is rather interesting. Like, I mean, just the fact that it was submitted as evidence at all, I mean, that means it's got to be used for something, right? And considering it's the only photograph that, or, well, one of the few things that we have that's, directly connected to Goku, being that he's in the photo and all, there might be something to it. Gotta say, I don't really like this suitcase being just out of, in the lower left frame here. I wonder, could he? Ugh. A fucking zoomed in Joe Chigoko. Eesh. I want. Yeah, I'll present it. Like I said, this again, this seems to be like, again, this was the photo we took like almost directly after they got back, or they got to the hotel after getting off the boat. So I mean, if Chigoko was going to be moving bodies around, it would have to be some point during here. So is it the suitcase? Yeesh, that's kind of morbid when you think about it. But at the same time, I thought they said that the crew examined the luggage, as they were getting on board and getting off board. So did they not check the fucking suitcase, see if there's a body in it? But again, there has to be a reason why this photo is here, right? And why the suitcase is rather prominently in the bottom left frame here. So yeah, I'll present it and see what happens.
Objection!
Ha! Guess I was on the right track after all. Like I said, I wasn't sure, because, like, the suitcase being there makes, like, again, when you think about it, it has to have been there for a reason, but, jeez. I've had this photo for a while, and now it's finally, proving useful to us. There's no possible way that you could have removed Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. What's that supposed to mean? Far from being impossible for you to do, the transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Chigoko is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. Oh, he is? Huh. I don't remember if they told us that before, and I just forgot. But, okay. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I said it before and I'll say it again. My Mikotoba voice is never going to be very consistent because I don't know, I can't get... I don't know, he didn't show up enough for me to really, like, get a lock on, like, a single voice. And, like, when I was playing as him, I kind of made it sound like Ryunosuke, even though that wasn't really my intention. Yeah, I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Ah, I knew you were jealous. Okay, so we did hear about this, but this was like a while ago now. I mean, for me, it was been a super long time. But even in like the span of the case, I mean, this was technically, during the last case. I believe is when we learned that during case 4. So yeah, it's been a while. I presume you recall this, Judge Chigoko. It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside. Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting... I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Shigoko's trunk. Jeez. When you think about it like that, that's again, it's kind of morbid. Like, damn, we were just, you know, chatting along with our old boys, and there Gregson was in the trunk, dead. Yeesh. Well, on this, leaving things off on that revelation seems like a pretty good idea. So, yeah. For now, I think I'll wrap things up. In the next episode, we'll continue to make progress, I suppose. We've already answered a pretty important question of how, you know, Gregson got from France to London. So I imagine next we'll have to figure out how he got specifically to Fresno Street in the first place. But yeah. Joji Goko is looking more and more suspicious. And also, like, more and more of a jerk. I don't appreciate some of his sass, let me tell you. But anyway, until then, I'll see you around.